Eventually, we go back to the apartment. She falls asleep. I go through her phone, and it is her and him dogging on me, talking about how she's going to stay on my good side so she can get things from me, and all sorts of terrible stuff. And so I'm like, hey, wake up. Let's go. And she's like, oh my gosh, did you go through my phone? I'm like, yeah, I did. And then, so I got married May 17th of this year. And shortly before that, my wife, or ex-wife, started a new job. And that's important to know. So we end up moving into our apartment together in mid-July. I believe it was July 16th. Between the when we got married and that time, we were living with my parents. So we move in about 2 weeks after that. My wife has just a breakdown, comes in my office, has a breakdown about, I feel like we might have rushed into this, we did things too soon, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't like we need to split, it was just I'm freaking out. It's like, okay, let's talk through it. And about a week later, she apologizes, says, hey, I think I was just having kind of a mental breakdown. I'm like, hey, that's fine. I get it. It's scary times. I had a freak out. I think it was like the third night that we were staying in the apartment, just about missing my family. So some time goes on, and now we're in August, and there's another freak out. And I feel like we rushed into this, blah, blah, blah. Well, we meet with our premarital counselor. Well, our counselors, I guess, but they did our premarital counseling. We talked through, and they're like, hey, this is super common. We see this in young married couples all the time. Let's, set some expectations for one another just so you guys can help each other out. And we did. And, I think in my head, things are going great. Okay, so Monday, September 15th rolls around, and I leave work a little early. She tells me that she wants me to come home so we can talk. And so we go home, or I go home, and I get there, and she's like, hey, I'm not ready to talk just yet. Go play the game. So I'm like, okay, I play the game for an hour. Go back in. Hey, I'm not ready to talk just yet. Go play the game. Okay, go back in for now. Whatever. So basically, she tells me, hey, I don't know. I don't want to talk about this. I think that it's just not worth talking about. And me being an anxious person, I'm like, well, is it something small, or is it something like you want to move out? And she's just kind of like, I don't really know. I don't know. I feel like, there's just so many things happen so quick, and I don't know. Well, either way, we talked through things a little bit. I think she can tell that I'm upset. She could tell that I was upset, so she just kind of dialed back. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know where her mind space is or head space is in any of this. Well, the following Saturday rolls around. Everything's all hunky-dory for me. I go out with my buddy. We put out some bags of corn and stuff. And then I get home. She's like, hey, when are you going to be home? I tell her, and she's like, okay, great. I'm going to take a shower, and I'll see you when you get home. Well, I get home. She got her bags packed. Hey, I'm going to stay with my mom. I need some space away. I might be back Wednesday. I don't know. Can we talk? Nope. Gone. Out the door. Gone. Poof. Gone. No contact that Sunday, that Monday. Then Tuesday night, I finally call her. Now, mind you, in between this, I'm over at my best friend's house. I don't know what's going on. I'm freaking out. And I say no contact. There were a couple texts sent. Well, she also goes over there and is with him and his girlfriend and just talking to them. And it's, they're trying to figure out what's going on. And they're asking the questions. Hey, is there anything going on that might be causing this? Is there anything, She's like, no, nothing. Well, so Tuesday night, I call her. And this is now, let me get the date. Yeah, so Tuesday the 23rd of September, I call her, and things seem well. And I'm like, hey, do you want to go out tomorrow? She's like, yeah. So her and I go out. We have a great dinner, and she tells me, look, I've decided I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to run away. We're going to work on this together. I can't leave you. I don't want to leave you. I'm not going to leave you. Awesome. But you need to do this and this and this and this and this. And mind you, everything's been fairly normal for me up to this point, up until her leaving. So thing number one was therapy. So I put myself in therapy. I get couples therapy for the two of us. I'm paying out the butt for it, but whatever. This is necessary. Whatever means. She's like, I'm not ready to move back in yet, but we'll see. So we have our first therapy session that following Sunday, and just to kind of collapse all this down, eventually after a week or so, she moves back in. Things are going great. I'm cooking dinner every single night, right? She did almost nothing around the apartment, and I would complain about that because it's but I was like, you know what? I don't care. Cooking, cleaning, everything. Laundry, everything. I'm doing everything, right? I made up her closet for her and stuff and whatever. I'm just I'm trying to show her whatever it is that you need, I'm going to do. And I just start working on myself and start trying to be, the best husband that I could possibly be. And it's stuff that I should have been doing beforehand, but it's like, this is my first time. I'm a kid.
We know this was a massive mistake, but I do not fault him for it, since most men don't know any better. Under no circumstances should you tolerate a woman who is selfish or self-serving. It is also important that you never drop your guard, assuming she wouldn't do you wrong. Abandoning your boundaries and self-respect to tolerate this type of behavior is the quickest way to get burned, as we will see shortly.
Well, 3 weeks go by. Let me go back to my text to figure out the date. So, mind you, during this time too, she's like trying to get me to buy her a new car and like a gaming PC, and we're coming up with all these. I mean, it's amazing. It seemed like the most perfect marriage. Well, Sunday, October 12th rolls around, and things have been going great. We have our therapy session, and the therapist is like, guys, I think we made a breakthrough. And we're laughing, giggling, whatever. Well, therapy session ends. She looks at me, hey, I'm dropping out of nursing school. When did you make that decision? She's like, last week. I was like, okay, all right. I support you. That's a big decision. That gives us more time to spend together, I guess, work through these things. Breakdown. Anxiety, full on, just freaking out. My jump to is, hey, let's pray. She doesn't want to. She goes, jumps in the shower. She's free. I can't do this. I thought I could, whatever. And I'm like, hey, let's get in the car, because car rides always calmed her down. Let's get in the car and ride around. In the car, I've been lying to you. I've been doing X, Y. And I go, have you been cheating? And she looks at me, yeah. With who? It's her boss. So she says that. And, I've always been a very emotional person, but in that moment, I couldn't cry. I couldn't get angry. All I could do was drive. And in my head, I'm just praying while listening and trying to talk. And basically, she says, I find out over time that she had started emotionally cheating, which let's just call it what it is. She started cheating 2 weeks after we moved into our apartment. So mind you, this is 2 months after we get married. And that, if we do the timeline here, that's when the first freak out happened, when she came into my office. And then apparently it was just that. And then towards the time of the second freak out, before she moved out, was when they had started making plans to be physical. And then during the time between that freak out and her moving out is when they actually did have a level of physical relation. And then, mind you, this all comes out the day before I'm supposed to hop on a flight for a promotion that I just received. And she tells me that this has been going on, that it's most likely going to continue going on. And not crying about it, not upset about it. Actually, I'll just tell you guys, laughing at my crying, because eventually I do start crying, of course. She's like, look, let's go back to the apartment, which is out there. And I'm like, okay. We get back to the apartment. She's like, look, I need to call him. Mind you, I'm falling apart. Look, I need to call him. I need to make sure he's okay. So she leaves for 2 hours while it's like 12 o'clock at night. I can't sleep. I can't do anything, right? I have a flight to catch the next morning. I can't do anything. I'm falling apart. Finally, she comes home. She's like, look, I don't want to talk about this. Let's just lay down. So I get like 2 hours of sleep, wake up, get on a flight, and absolutely bomb. Do terrible, right? Because how could you do well? And during this week, while I'm gone, all I'm thinking of is, okay, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to fix this? I don't know how I'm going to fix it. How do you forgive? Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out.
Like I said before, I do not fault him at all for thinking being the best man he could be for her would fix her, as this is what most men initially think, without realizing many women are only loyal to their emotions and how they feel. It is never worth your time, energy, resources, and sanity dealing with women like this, which is why it is extremely important to never ignore any red flags, make any exceptions, or drop your guard.
And wow, God is good, because though I didn't fix it, he kept me functioning better than I would have without him. And yeah, so then I get back. She ends up actually picking me up from the airport that Thursday night. We hang out. She drives me back to the apartment, goes and stays at her mom's. Friday morning, wake up, we go on a date. It's great. We're having a good time. It's a little weird, but we're having a good time. Well, eventually, we go back to the apartment. She falls asleep. I go through her phone, and it is her and him dogging on me, talking about how she's going to stay on my good side so she can get things from me, and all sorts of terrible stuff. And so I'm like, hey, wake up. Let's go. And she's like, oh my gosh, did you go through my phone? I'm like, yeah, I did. And then...
This is why you never take her back under any circumstances. If she cheated on you, she is not sorry, she is not remorseful, and she does not care about you. Unfortunately, some men have to learn this the hard way, but hopefully, his story can prevent this from happening to others who don't know any better.
Yeah, so she goes and starts freaking out, and she's like, take me home. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, we are driving home, and she's telling me, I really thought there was a chance. I really thought you would change, but you going through my phone just shows me you're the same person. I just took you on a date, spent a bunch of money, had what I thought was a great day, and the whole time you're sneaking off to the bathroom to text your boyfriend about how you have to stay on my good side, hoping that he's not upset with you for it. So then I turn on her Snap Maps because I'm crazy. I turn on her Snap Maps, and sure enough, that night she ends up at his house.
And of course, without fail, she blames the man she cheated on for her own decisions to cheat on him. Not because she regrets cheating, but because she wants to avoid accountability. They are aware that cheating makes them look like the villain, and there's nothing more manipulative liars hate more than people seeing them for who they really are.
Saturday morning, wake up, go home, pack up all of her stuff nicely, not throwing stuff, right? I just put whatever clothes and stuff into bags and put the other stuff in whatever. Load it in the back of the truck, text her, hey, what time do you get off work? Or what time are you going to be at your mom? She tells me, okay, I pull up, got all of her stuff in the truck, and she's like, can we go get food? I'm like, you know what? Let me see how much information I can fish out of here. So she knows at this point, she's found out that her Snap Mouse is on. So I'm like, where were you last night? She's like, a friend called me, I was upset at you, and so... they called me and I went over. I was like, was it his house? She's like, yeah. I'm like, did you sleep with him? Yeah. Gotcha. So then, full transparency, we're riding around and she's just like, let's just drive. Let's just go somewhere. Let's just wake up and see the sunset somewhere. And I'm not going to overshare, but I'm an idiot. I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. And I'm not even going to listen, what your mind is thinking, that happens. What a moron. What a buffoon, right? So either way, I end up spending the night. And then Sunday, I wake up and I go to church because I'm like, God, I need you so, which I go to church anyways, right? But I'm like, God. And so I go to church and I walk in early and I sit there and I just cry in a pew. And then I get out of church and to a text from her, hey, she texted me somewhere along the lines of, or I can't remember if it was text or call, but she's like, hey, come back over, and I don't like how you left. I'm like, okay. So I went over and I get over there and she just wants to lay down. We lay down and, what an idiot. Either way. So she's like, hey, I gotta go to my friend's house. So you gotta go. This is several hours later. Well, she goes to her friend's house and then she goes back to his house in the same day. Oh gosh.
This is why self-respect is the most important quality you can have when dealing with others. This woman was extremely manipulative and deceitful. However, that manipulation would have never worked on him if he simply had the self-respect to walk away, rather than continuing to make exceptions thinking she would change or this time would be different.
So I'm like, hey, I schedule this test because I just, sorry. So I schedule this test. Thank God, everything's fine. Everything's clean, everything's clear, thank God. Well, then the next 2 or so weeks go by and she's talking about, hey, I'm moving, I'm going to do all these things, and I want us to be friends, I want us to stay in contact with each other. And I'm still in the mindset of, I'm going to make this work. Well, along the way, I end up finding out a lot more. And I didn't believe it at first until I start receiving proof. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot of hits. And mind you, we hang out like 1 or 2 times after that. And so eventually she says, like, hey, like, I'm moving and stuff and whatever. And I'm like, okay. And so in my mind, I'm not signing the papers. I'm not signing the papers. You're crazy. Sorry, I made a covenant vow with God. I don't care if you're stupid and went and did something stupid. Like, no. Like, we're going to figure this out. Eventually you take so many hits that you start to realize maybe God's giving you the pass. Maybe God's letting you get out of this. And that's exactly what happened. She continuously chose other people throughout these 2 weeks or so. I don't know what happened with him, because they broke up, and then there was 2 or 3, I don't know, either way. So eventually it finally clicks in my head. I'm like, oh, you got to shut it off, bro. Straight Vampire Diaries, just turn it off. So I did. So I guess it's 2 weeks later, she texts, or she calls me, and she's like, hey, when are we seeing each other? And I'm like, for what? She's like, just, I guess just to sign the papers. I said, you don't need me for that. You can get your stuff signed and then have me served or whatever. I'll sign mine and be done. Mind you, this is radically different than the last thing she heard from me, which is, I'm not signing anything. So then I get a text Monday, hey, do you want to see me before I leave? I'll respond. Wednesday we meet to sign papers. I'm not going to explain how that ended up happening. I didn't know she was going to be there. By the way, papers get signed and give, whatever. And she's like, can I get a hug? I was like, look, I don't. And she's like, please. So, okay, give her a hug. And then, yeah. There's so much that's not in this because, and if somehow any party that's not, I don't want to say on my side, but on my side with this, I am doing the opposite of dogging. There's so much more. And if there's any accusation of, oh, he's lying, I hate to break it to everyone, but I'm not a buffoon. Alabama's a one-party state, and it was in my own home and vehicle. I've got everything. I have everything right here. So the legitimacy behind what I've said right here. I undershared a lot because I hope, and the last thing that I said to her, I prayed over her. The last thing that we did is we had a conversation. I said, I am not mad. I do not hate you. I hope you have a wonderful life. I hope you find a man someday that you can love the way that you should. I prayed for her, wished her the best, said I can't be in contact with you again. I can never talk to you again. This has to be the end of it. Now it's turned into a thing where she's dogging me to an extent. I don't want to say dogging me, but it's like, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just a little bit of stupid stuff though. And gotta move on. I gotta let go. I'm so separated, but the plan is now that I've said all of this, I can now do what I really wanted to do this whole time, which is make the Christian content, but also make the Christian content that speaks directly through what, in my opinion, is got to be one of the hardest things you can go through in life, and that is infidelity, right? In separation, divorce, whatever. And now that I've really said what happened, I feel like it gives me some grounds to talk about this because, let me tell you, if you have gone through anything even remotely close to what I just went through, worse, better, whatever, God will take care of you. God will provide a way every time. You just have to trust in Him. Do not run to the world. It's so freaking easy. Believe me, dude, I was one text message away from doing something stupid. I'm 2 feet away from solving all the problems. I want to jump in here because that was supposed to be like smoky, and it didn't look like that. In theory. Thank God I didn't. Because it doesn't fix anything. It puts you further in the hole, and it will destroy you more and more and more. And eventually, if you're saved, God's going to reach out and grab you. But, man, it would be better if you didn't have to dig through all that crap, too.
If you enjoyed this video, I promise you will love this next video. I will see you there.